Bill, congratulations on being the 2009 Jeffs Award winner for Greatest Public Service by benefiting the disadvantaged. Explain to me what you've done. Over 2 million, 230 communities, over 2 million kids who are at risk, might be a dropout, and your passion is to open doors of opportunity for them. Tell us.
Well, I came to the conclusion many years ago that if we didn't turn off the number of young people who are falling through the cracks and dropping out of the schools, which is 1.2 million a year, which is the size of Philadelphia, every year are dropping out of school. And that's like 1 every 9 seconds. And I said, that's both morally wrong and it's economically insane. And so we figured out a way on how to keep young people from dropping out of school and get them to succeed, not only stay in school, but graduate with good grades within 4 years. And these are the young people that we're going to drop out.
Okay, now most people who have a powerful idea, the idea is simple, and then people ask in reverse, why didn't I think of that? So schools basically are from 9 to 3, and where are all the kids and what did you do?
Well, I mean, I came to the conclusion that the young people weren't dropping out of school because of education. They were breaking down because of a breakdown in community. You know, there was no safety net for them. And I felt schools now were being asked to be mother, father, sister, brother, social worker, hall guard. I said, here we have all these people all over town working with young people. Why don't we bring them together in a collaboration around the schools where everybody's bringing their gift there to free up the teachers to teach and give safe places for our young people to learn. And so the average school is open from 8:30 to 3. The average agency working with children is open from 9 to 5. That left from 3 to 5 to build relationships with kids that were on buses. So we said, why don't we get the people from the health, education, faith community, volunteers, to all come together and work together as a community, and that's why it's called Communities in Schools.
And tell me the typewriter story. If you invent a typewriter and you put a different letter in each room, that's probably not the way to do a typewriter, and you brought all the resources combined around the kids.
Yeah, I was asked many years ago, you know, what's the economics of all this? I mean, how do you make it work? I said, well, the way we give away our money, both public and private, is insane. Today I'd use a keyboard. Back then when I was being questioned on this, I used the typewriter. I said, the way we fund things, the way we deliver these services would be like IBM saying the best way to type a letter would be to have 26 typewriters, each in a different room with a different letter on it. So you have the Boys and Girls Clubs in one part of town, the health people in another part of town, the faith people in another. The kid needs a PhD in systems to get help. So we said, let's bring the help to where they are.
And now, I talked to you this morning about any successful person has a good sense of humor. And,
you have to.
You have to. So tell me about anything about sense of humor or stuff that you've done. Some story comes to mind about the use of a giggle to help get something done.
Well, I've spent a lot of them. I mean, often it's, I was at it was called the Gore Family Reunion, where at the time Vice President Gore was bringing people to Nashville to talk and get up there, and he got up and interviewed me before I spoke. Said, how'd you get involved in education? I said, the day I got kicked out of high school. And he said, oh, and all these educators in there. And he said, oh, so you're in education? I mean, it was an education forum. I said, yeah, I finished 3 freshman years of school, which is true. 2 at the University of Pittsburgh, 1 at New York University.
Right.
And but I'm an authority on freshman years.
Now one of the whole points of the Jeffs Awards is to inspire anybody and the power of an individual to make a difference. And a lot of people give you excuses like, I can't do that. You need to be smarter than I am. You need to have more money than I have. And your background, you started with what I'll call a slight learning disability in terms of reading. You didn't fit well into schools. They did kick you out. Talk about, I mean, your story is anybody with a dream, anybody with a vision can make a difference. Talk to a little.
Well, part of it is this, I didn't plan to do this. I mean, somebody turned my life around, and it was all through relationships. That's why I always say it's relationships that change people, not programs. Somebody has to be willing to walk through the valley of the shadow of adolescence with kids and love them into change. If you can't use the word love, then you're not going to have any change. A good program simply has created the environment where healthy relationships are happening between adults and children. So I've stayed very focused on just loving kids. I went to Harlem and the Lower East Side for 11 years in the 60s. I planned never to leave there. My gift was hanging out and doing what somebody had done for me. And then if you say you love somebody, you start taking them in. So we housed young people, and then we got into education because they may get on the straight and narrow and they're so far behind in school, the only alternative is to sell drugs. So as I said, God has a great sense of humor. I ended up in education.
Right. Now, earlier today you were saying that we don't have a youth problem, we have an adult problem. Explain what you meant by that.
Well, I'd been asked to speak at this presidential summit that happened back in the end of the Clinton era, where all the living presidents and Mrs. Bush and General Powell was the chair of it. I mean, Mrs. Reagan, all of them were there. And I didn't know I was going to be asked to speak. And I got up there the last day and I didn't know what I was going to say. And I just started weeping, and which was a little embarrassing. I didn't, and then I said, what came to me, I've spent my whole life crying out for young people about our youth issue in America. And then I've just come to realize that we don't have a youth problem, we have an adult problem. That if they don't see us adults working together, when we bring all these services together, whether it's medical or mentoring or whatever it is, it's not just enough to give the services and make sure kids have eyeglasses and their teeth fixed and all that, but they need to see us working together. I mean, don't tell them about male-female respectability or black and white and brown. It's all of us. If they see us, and I've seen kids begin to eat together and treat each other with respect because they saw us adults caring about each other. So if we aren't community, we can't ask the young people to be community. They're going to be a negative community, which is called a gang.
Now, if you were to address 30 high school students about the power of an idea or the courage to try to make a difference, encourage them just to think big and to start, and that they can do anything they want to do, what would you tell them?
Well, you got to have a new way of looking at the world. I wrote a chapter in a book called The Last Dropout that I had come out. I've written as many books as I've read, by the way, which is 3 of each. So I've really, but I learned I could write.
Right.
And I talk about magic eyes. That if you don't see hope, if you don't see within what you think is a despairing situation that there's life there, and the idea is to be able to discover it and build on it. And I'd say the most important thing I've learned, and it was through one of my board members who told me when he got out of college, he went to see this important man in Atlanta, and the lawyer for Coca-Cola, and asked him what was his keys to success, and he said 3 things. Number 1 is perseverance. Number 2 is perseverance. Number 3 is perseverance. The rest of it doesn't mean. He said the rest are just tools.
Right.
And that's why you have to stay focused. We've stayed focused. That it's love that transforms people, and just staying at it, whether things worked or didn't work. But then all of a sudden we got this vision that we could turn around the dropout issue in America, and I believe we're going to do it.